Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Shinrai, Broken Beyond Despair on Series X. Looks like we made it to the basement. I can't see a freaking thing. Yes, the same applied to me, and this was quite the problem. I had kind of hoped for another moonlit window would exist down here, but then again, this was the basement. Raika-chan, I'm scared. Why? I already explained to you that Rai's behind the blackout. That doesn't mean there ain't something or something else down here, though. If I was a ghost, I'd totally be here hiding for victims, so... Curses. It looked as though my previous efforts had been in vain. As she slung her arms around my waist and pressed her chest tightly against my back, I could feel the tremors of fear rushing up and down her body. Nervously, she peeked over my shoulder into the realm of darkness ahead. I couldn't see her face, but it was no doubt scared by the purest of terror. Anyway, we can't see shit, so we might as well just go back up, right? Well, not being able to see anything sure wasn't helpful in regards to completing our task, but there had to be something we could do about that. Maybe. Huh. What? What's wrong? Did something happen? Raika-chan? Of course, why hadn't I thought of this sooner? Raika-chan? What's going on? Did you see something? There ain't no one here, is there? Talk to me. Shit. Shit. While Bata-chan sounded like she was about to have a mental breakdown, I quickly reached under my cardigan and into my pocket. Chill out, girl. Huh? I just had an idea. There might be a way to light up the, way. How? My cell phone. I quickly flicked it open, and the screen immediately lit up with a bluish glow. Ignoring the message telling me that it was unable to get any reception in the area, I navigated through the menus. Unfortunately, my cell phone didn't have an actual built-in flashlight, but I could at least turn up the screen brightness some more. After doing just that, I pointed the screen directly at the darkness in front of us, and... Oh! Great idea, Raika-chan! The light's not that strong, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Yes. With this, we could at least see something, even if it wasn't much. Without hesitation, I began utilizing this new light source by waving around a bit and illuminating the corridors as much as possible. From what I was able to make out, it actually didn't seem much different from the one above. Alright, we should be fine like this, so time to move on. Why did you need to have that stupid idea? First it was a great idea, and now it was stupid. Oh well, we have made it this far. I definitely wasn't going to turn back now. As I moved ahead, Bata-chan kept following me, her hands clawed deep into my shoulders as she kept anxiously peeking over them. It was almost as though she was using me as a shield. Whatever reason she feared, for whatever she feared was lying in wait for us down here. Admittedly, this place was a somewhat eerie atmosphere to it, but the only thing that really worried me was our limited field of vision. The cell phone light helped out a little bit, but it was still better not to overdo it and keep a rather slow pace. I didn't quite fancy painfully bumping my nose into a wall after all. If I recall correctly, the right part of the basement was separated by a left wall with a built-in door. The door beyond which entrance was only permitted to the resort staff. Strictly speaking, there was absolutely no reason for it to be unlocked either, but it was. Okay, we're almost there. You know, I just realized that even if you're right about Raya being behind it all, wouldn't that mean that she probably got some sort of surprise already waiting for us in the breaker room? Well, this is Raya we're talking about, so I guess we can't rule it out. There might be some kind of trap around here, set up with the hopes of scaring the living daylights out of us. And then why the hell are we moving right into it? Because whatever it is, it surely isn't going to kill us. And aren't you curious? If there really is a trap ahead, I'd sure like to find out what Raya came up with. Traps are to be triggered, after all. Since when did you turn into such a masochist? Well, what could I say? The idea of a trap waiting for us was kind of exciting. I actually wanted one to be there, just so I could prove that I wasn't going to lose to any of Rai's dirty tricks. I had to admit, this was starting to get fun. A little, at least. Well, let's see if there's a surprise lying in wait for us or not. So, this was it. After I had stopped and turned to my right, I waved the light of my cell phone across the door in front of us. There were letters stamped onto its clean metal surface spelling out the words, electrical and boiler room. While Bada-chan dug her fingers even deeper into my shoulders as though she was trying to drill holes into them, I took a deep breath and reached for the cold metal handle. Just like Rai had said, the door was unlocked. Bracing myself for everything she might have set up for us, I carefully pushed it open. Yeah! Bada-chan? What's wrong now? Yeah! Hey, what the heck are you? Yeah! Whoa. That had hurt. I had absolutely no idea what just happened, but as a result of it, I was now lying flat on my face, kissing cold concrete. When all my systems finally came back to me, I pressed my palms against the floor and tried to push myself up. Unfortunately, something rather heavy kept my lower body nailed to the ground. Bada-chan? Sorry. You alright? I'm fine. Although I'd feel better if you could, get off my legs. Working on it. It took a moment but it seemed as though Bada-chan managed to get back to her feet. The sound of her slapping the dirt off her butt echoed throughout the darkness for a few seconds before she eventually grabbed my arms to lift me up as well. While brushing some of the dirt off my own clothes, I took a look around. But unfortunately, it was still too dark to make out any of our surroundings. So, what was that all about? Sorry, that noise scared the shit out of me, and there was something weird and really cold touching my neck all of a sudden. Something weird and cold? Yes, it dropped from the ceiling. Maybe it was blood? I kind of doubt that. Listen for a second. You hear that? That's the sound of water dropping. Maybe you were standing under a leaking pipe or something. Maybe. I'd love to check, but my cell phone's gone. What? It slipped out of my hand when you suddenly tackled me to the floor. Oh shit. I had let my hand search the floor while Bada-chan had tried to get up, but to no avail. My phone had most likely slid further into the room and either landed with the screen facing the floor or in a very dark corner, since I couldn't make out its bluish glow anywhere. What now? It's so dark in here I can't see shit. How are we supposed to turn on lights like this? Well, we've got to find a way. But as you said, we need to find a light source first. So either we try finding my phone or maybe there's some other way to enlighten us. How can you still make stupid puns in a situation like this? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Anyway, let's see what we can find, and please, mind your step. Okay. My poor cell phone. Maybe it was a bit old by now, and maybe I had barely any use for it, but still. I liked it a lot, and would have been glad to get it back in one piece. Notebook entry. Hey, wait a second. Interesting. Huh? Raka-chan? What's up? Where you at? Did you find something? I did indeed. Yes. These glowing outlines right here. A window. It wasn't completely closed shut, so I could clearly see its glowing contours. Some bright source of light had to be shining on it from the other side. Come to think of it, this wall was facing the exact same direction as the circular moonlight window in the corridor above us, so... Whoa! Let there be light. Or let there be light! Alright, it's a little dark in here since the moonlight doesn't reach into every corner of the room, but this is a lot better than before. Lucky us. Good thing the moon's shining brightly tonight. Indeed. Well, wow, this place is a lot bigger than I thought. It certainly was, but that was to be expected. Even if it wasn't sharing the same width, it was still sharing the same length as the dining hall directly above us. Alright, let's not waste any time. We still need to find my phone and use the breaker box. Yeah. By the way, what does a breaker box look like? I'll show you. That's the breaker box. I see. Looks kind of weird. Do you know how these things work? Well, I know how ours at home works, and I doubt this is going to be much different. Besides, Riley managed to operate it, so it can't be that hard. That was kind of mean, but I guess you're right. Curses. What's wrong? I can't get it open. It's jammed. Eh? Well, this is annoying. Wait a sec. If it's jammed, then how did Riley manage to use it earlier? Don't tell me there's a ghost behind this after all. Nonsense. It might be stuck, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to get open. Besides, it's possible it worked fine earlier and Riley caused it to get stuck. Either intentionally or unintentionally. Well, Riley never could control her strength, so I can totally see her slamming it shut by accident. Why do you think she'd do it intentionally, though? To stall for time. The longer it takes us to get back, the more time she has to set up her surprise. Oh, I guess. Well, in any case, what are we going to do now? Let's see. If I had something thin, I could try to squeeze it into the panel slit and simply pry it open. Like a knife or a flat-headed screwdriver or anything like that. You think we could find something like that around here? Maybe. They seem to store a bunch of tools down here, so let's just take a look around. Alright. This piece of paper stuck to the wall and a button right below it. It's big, red, and covered by a tiny glass panel inside with a metal case with black and yellow warning stripes on it. It's the kind of button you're probably not supposed to press. What's this button for? No idea. Maybe that piece of paper will tell us? Let's see. It's a bit hard to read due to the lack of light, but right on top it says for emergency use only in bold letters. Emergency use? Well, this is an emergency, right? Maybe we should press it then. I would advise against that. What? Why? Because this button apparently activates the resort's self-destruct mechanism. Wait! What? If we press it, the whole place will blow up within 5 minutes. You can't be serious. I'm just telling you what's written here. It says there are about 900 tons of explosives stored below the basement. 900 tons? I actually ain't got a clue what that means, but 900's a big number. So it's probably going to be a big bang, right? Who the heck would do that anyway? And who the heck would do that and why? Like, why the hell would a resort like this even need a self-destruct mechanism? Well, actually, this paper is signed by Rai, so... Rai? Of course she'd implement a self-destruct sys. That girl's real cray-cray. How silly of me to think that obvious conclusion would have been to assume it was just another one of Rai's pranks. I'm pretty sure it's just a joke. Look here. There's a hole with some cracks around it in the wall behind this paper. Probably just hanging there to cover it up. That's a pretty big hole, though. How'd it get there? Don't ask me, but considering this paper was made by Rai, it might be her doing. That girl's just got too much strength. So, like, what's that button for then? Want to find out? Nah. I actually ain't that curious. Let's just not push any big red buttons with warning straps, okay? Curses, it's locked. Well, I doubt there's anything useful inside anyway. Then how about on the top of it? There seems to be something lying there, but I'm not really tall enough to reach it. Then maybe down there? Nope. Nothing but dirt and cobwebs. Well, what a disappointment. A sturdy metal door. Barachan closed it tightly because she's still afraid there might be some killer or monster down there. If that really was the case, I doubt any unlocked door would stop them, though. Oh well, as long as it makes her feel better. A bucket and a broom are resting in the corner. You could say it's good that earlier in that darkness, neither of us kicked the bucket. Anyway, it doesn't look like my phone is hiding here, so it's time to move on. A bunch of very thin pipes connecting to little metal boxes are attached to the wall here. There are 3 circular gauges in the center, but they aren't labeled, so I can't tell what exactly they gauge. Acceleration, speed, and fuel. No. Why not? Because this is a resort, not a racing car. Fine. A rather empty shelf with a tool cart right next to it. I guess we should be able to find something useful here. However, before that... What you doing crouching down there? It's possible my cell phone slid under this shelf, so I just want to check if that's the case. Oh, true that. So, like, can you see it? Well... It was a bit hard to make out due to the poor lighting conditions, but I could indeed see it. Unfortunately, though, my cell phone wasn't the only thing beneath this shelf. A thick jungle of cobwebs was flourishing down here, with a big black spider sitting right in the middle of it, relaxing on the fruits of its hard work. My phone had ended up directly behind it, after it had apparently crashed through the cobweb wall on the right, leaving a big hole in it. Oh yeah! When Navarra crouched down next to me to take a look for herself, seeing that spider naturally gave her quite the shock. She toppled backwards, landed on her butt, and slid back on all fours. Terror written all over her face, she once again hid behind me, her human shield. What the hell's that thing? A spider. That's the fattest monstrosity I've ever seen. If that thing is guarding your phone, you can kiss it goodbye. Shit, I bet it can take a bite out of your entire hand. Oh, come on. It's just a spider. Stop being overly dramatic. Here, look. It's not going to bite or anything. Sighing, I reached out to simply grab my cell phone from under the shelf. Seriously, Barachan, it was just a little spider, not a human-devouring monster. A spider. Just a tiny little spider. Well, maybe not that tiny. It actually was rather big and hairy, with really long legs. Actually, I think my arm's not long enough to reach my phone. I should probably try using the stick or something. A really, really long stick. That'd probably be better. Hey, that's it. That broom would be perfect. Yes, this was exactly what I had been looking for. This ultimate weapon in hand, I didn't hesitate and immediately returned to the shelf. Be careful. I will. Try not to rip them webs apart, or that beast might get angry and attack us. I'm trying my best, but it'd help if you stopped shaking me so much. Sorry. Anyway, here goes. Cautiously, I slipped the stick end of the broom past the spider. With very slow and precise movements, I did my best not to come into contact with any of its webs. Trying not to alert it was quite a difficult and rather strenuous task, however. Nevertheless, after a good amount of sweat had streamed down my forehead, I managed to press the stick against the backside of my phone. Carefully, I tried sliding it towards us across the floor. It took quite a while, since I neither wanted to get any scratches on the screen, nor enrage that enormous spider, but eventually... Alright, got it. That was close, man. You almost touched that thing. But I didn't. And all is well that ends well, right? I guess. My poor cell phone. Man, was I glad to have it back. And apart from some cobwebs, it thankfully hadn't sustained any critical damage. Well, looks like that spider's still snoring. Since you got your phone, let's just get away from here before it wakes up. Ah, come on. Even if it does, it's just a spider, so... Movement! Huh? Whew, I guess that was enough of a safe distance. For Barachan to feel safe from that spider, of course. Anyway, with my cell phone back in my possession, I put the broom back where it belonged. And with that, it was time to focus on our main objective again. This middle closet is identical to the one at the entrance. It's locked, so I can't peek inside, and I can't reach the cardboard box on top of it either. However, I doubt there's anything useful in there anyway. There's a piece of paper stuck to the wall here. Down with the management. Anarchy for the win. Stop being mindless puppets. And similar revolutionary phrases are written on it. I don't even... Just a worthless metal closet. Time to move on. Whoa! Are those real hypersleep caps? Are those real hypersleep capsules? What? You know, those capsules they use to freeze people for long distance space travel and stuff? Did you ever watch any sci-fi movies? I did. I didn't know what hypersleep capsules are, but I think those are just some ordinary boilers. Wait! So people ain't getting frozen but boiled in there? Come on, just kidding. But I guess you're right. Still, if those were real hypersleep capsules, they'd be real neat. I mean, they ain't got no windows, so you wouldn't need to worry about some alien parasite aciding its way through the glass and attach itself to your face while sleeping. I shouldn't have thought about that. That movie gave me some of the worst nightmares ever. There's a lonely gas canister sitting below the window. Bottomshan's been eyeing it for a while now. That's a gas canister, ain't it? Yes, it is. Why is it here? You don't think someone's planning to set the place on fire? What? Well, why is there a gas canister down here? I would assume it's needed for the incinerator in the back. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Still, that wouldn't stop anyone from using it to burn down the building, right? I guess not, but... What's with her and her constantly thinking of the worst scenarios? There's a wooden box sitting here filled with a lot of old junk. Most of it seems to be broken boys' toys like mechas and masked hero figures. They're all heavily damaged, and some of them missing arms and legs and even their heads. Poor figures. Someone's really going all out with them. Indeed. There must have been some pretty epic battles, though. I mean, look. That one's got a tiny sword stuck in his chest. Kind of brutal. I wonder who they belong to. Well, there's something written here on the box in really bad handwriting. Property of the great Rai-sama. There you have your answer. Rai never changed much since he was a little kid, huh? Looks like it. A couple of light switches, but they're pretty much useless as long as the power's out. Whoa! That's like the biggest speaker I've ever seen. That's not a speaker. It's a ventilation shaft. What? Why? Don't ask me. That's just the way it is. Damn fools. Why would you have a ventilation shaft if you could turn into a giant speaker? Why would you have a ventilation shaft if you could turn it into a giant speaker? What a waste. And here I was hoping to have a USB port so I could plug in my MP3 player and load up some chill LJ raps. Well, it's already chill enough down here anyway. Some kind of black box is attached to the wall here. Due to the darkness and it hanging rather high, it's impossible to make out any details on it, so I can't tell exactly what it is. Oh my god, that's not a supercomputer with artificial intelligence that controls every electrical device inside this building. Oh, nut bunnies. It looks so futuristic, though. It's probably just some kind of generator. But I'm no techie, so I wouldn't know. And maybe it is a supercomputer. At the very least, I can assure you it's not. Apollo, please turn the power back on. What are you doing? I'm trying to talk to the AI. Maybe it reacts to a different name. Hal, come on, talk to me. Mother, can you hear me? Please help us. Ah, she ain't responding. You bitch. Yeah, it's so hard to pick stuff. I had something here. I had the shelf picked area. Okay, a screwdriver or something that would be, or something similar that would do the trick. While searching for a tool that matched the given criteria, I kept glancing over to the bottom of the shelf to my right every now and again, just to make sure the spider was still there where I had last seen it. Luckily, it didn't move at all. And luckily, it didn't take me long to find what I needed either, so I could get the hell away from there. Flat-headed screwdriver acquired. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, here we go. I hope this works. Bingo. Well, it's open, but that's a lot of, thingamabobs. Switches? Yes. How do you know which ones to push? Easy. As far as I can see, the main breaker switch is off. So all I have to do is switch it back on. I'd assume that way the bus bar will be powered again, which in turn will activate all the individual branch circuit breakers. Whatever the hell that means. Let's just switch it back on then. Miss Miyamoto, I think we're back in business. Ain't no raptor to surprise us either. Looks like you're already feeling a little better, huh? Maybe. I mean, with them lights back on, the creepiness factor sure went down a little. Still, I ain't too keen on loitering around here much longer, so let's just get the hell out of here. Indeed. I'm freezing, and this already took long enough, so let's head back. Trying to find out if my deductions truly were correct. I hope they were. I still got this really weird feeling. I hope nothing bad's happening to the others while we're gone. You sure are a worrywart. Sighing and shaking my head, I walked towards the metal door. I reached for the handle and hesitated. Something wrong? Yes, there was indeed something wrong. Earlier, before we had even started looking, Bada-chan had closed this door tightly. She might not have been able to actually lock it, but due to her fears of someone or something lurking in the corridor, a closed door had made her feel a little safer. Therefore, she wouldn't have opened it again. And I definitely hadn't touched it either. So then, why was it open a crack now? A crack wide enough for someone to peek through. Rak-chan? I wrapped my hand around the cold handle and slowly pulled the door towards me. Once it was wide open... Raku! Hi! Raku! Of course. Who else would secretly follow and observe us in a situation like this? While that little devil was busy busting into loud, irritating laughter, I attended to Bada-chan, who had dropped to the floor and was sitting there with gigantic eyes and a ghostly pale face. If things were going to continue like this, the poor thing really was going to die of a heart attack tonight. You okay? I think so. Mika! What the hell's wrong with you? Not even Mika knows. Anyway, looks like Mika wins. What? Raiko was twitching. Mika saw it. Mika saw it! Raiko got scared. I did not. Besides, wasn't your goal to shock me so much that I'd cry out in torment and despair? Those were your exact words, and I certainly didn't do that just now. Details, details. Raiko was crying. Internally. Mika knows. Fine. Mika will let it slide this once. But next time, Raiko will taste complete and utter defeat. We'll see about that. So, like, did you just come down here to scare us? Achoo. Of course. Well, at least tell us what Rai's up to. Well, at least tell us what Rai's got up her sleeves then. That's the least you could do for almost giving me a heart attack. Again. Achoo. Hasn't Rai prepped something for us in the dining hall? Oh, that's what Raiko and Nobata are talking about. So you're gonna tell us what? You're gonna tell us what it is, or what? Mika doesn't know and Mika doesn't care. Rai explained something to everyone, but Mika wasn't listening. Mika had to sneak out and follow Raiko and Nobata under the veil of darkness to execute her surprise attack. Aw, nut bunnies. Well, at the very least, that confirms my deductions were right. I guess so. In any case, let's head back and find out ourselves then. Alright. Yes, let's head out, because I am super tired of Nobara and, like, the Scooby-Doo episode that we just witnessed. Holy crap, that lasted a lot longer than it should have. When the three of us left the breaker room and stepped out into the corridor, it was still drenched in darkness. Thanks to our hard work, though, now a simple click of the light switch was enough to change that. Yes, this was much better. Without having to worry about bumping into any walls now, we began to move down the corridor, following the blue carpet. Of course, along the way, we couldn't help but speculate about what Rai might have planned for us. Mika even proposed devising a counterattack in order to turn the tables on our host. However, I really don't think we should do that. Why not? You serious? Kicking the sliding door in? Rai would murder us. But no one would see it coming and they would all be totally shocked. Well, yeah, well, no shit. But still, you can't just... Did you guys just hear that? Hear what? I could have sworn I just heard... Oh yeah! What the heck was that? Wasn't that Common's voice? I think so. Yes. Even though that scream had come from pretty far away and had therefore been rather muffled, that definitely sounded like Common. However, why would she scream like that? You think something's happened? Aku? Maybe this is already part of Rai's plan to shock us. I don't know. All I can say is I don't like it. Well, no point in standing here trying to figure it out. Let's just go take a look. Hey? Raika-chan? Wait! As I darted down the hallway, I could hear the footsteps of the others behind me. They didn't waste much time and immediately chased after me, running as fast as their legs could carry them. While we shot down the corridor, we could hear another scream. The first one had definitely been Common, but this one... Runa? Just what in the world was going on there? Also, those screams... They weren't coming from the floor above us. No, it sounded more like they were coming from even farther away. Like the second floor. But why would Common and Runa even be here? Or be there? And more importantly, what would cause them to let out such a blood-curdling scream in the first place? Was this really just part of Rai's plan to scare us? Whatever the case, I didn't want to jump to any conclusions. Even if it meant falling right into Rai's trap, I had to take a look first. I certainly wasn't going to take any risks due to false assumptions. Not again. Besides, maybe it was because of Bada-chan and her non-stop worrying, but I somehow had a really bad feeling about this. We rushed up the stairs as fast as we could, taking 2 steps at a time. Ignoring the first floor, I continued upstairs, heading directly for the second. Bada-chan and Mika followed hard on my heels. When we finally reached it, the ceiling lights were shining brightly, so someone definitely had to be up here. After climbing up the last couple of steps, I stopped for a second, trying to catch my breath. As I did, I glanced down the hallway, hoping to get a glimpse of what was going on. And sure enough, right there in the middle of the corridor, I could see something. 3 people were standing in front of one of the many guest rooms. A white-haired boy in a vampire suit, a girl with a cape and a witch hat, and another girl in a white kimono. Hiro, Kamen, and Runa. When Bada-chan and Mika caught up with me, we quickly sprinted towards them. Once we got close enough to see their faces, we came to an abrupt halt, though, because of the sheer horror and disbelief that was burned into them. This can't be. How? How did this... Why? This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't supposed to. No, this can't be. This cannot. As the strength vanished from her legs, Runa collapsed to her knees. Tears were forming in the corners of her eyes, running down her cheeks, as her hands... No, her entire body was trembling. Meanwhile, Hiro and Kamen stood there, not moving an inch or paying attention to her. Like two lifeless statues, they simply kept staring at the open guest room in front of them. It didn't even seem like any of them had noticed our arrival yet. As Bada-chan, Mika, and I moved closer, they didn't turn their heads. It was as though their widened eyes were glued to whatever was in front of them. They kept staring into that guest room in a daze, almost as though they were hypnotized, with their expression frozen in eternal despair. Upon seeing them like this, a familiar feeling of dread began welling up inside me. Driven by her curiosity, Mika stepped forward, trying to look at whatever the others were so horrified by. And after some hesitation, Bada-chan followed suit. I wanted to take a look too. However, some inner voice was warning me not to, as though it already knew I was going to regret it. In the end, however, my own curiosity won over by subconscious fears I had. Over any subconscious fears I had. Almost on its own, my body moved forwards. Since the others were standing in the way, and I was rather small, I had to get on my toes to be able to glance over their shoulders. Nevertheless, I was able to get a good glimpse at what was terrifying them so much. There, among the darkness, right in the middle of that guest room. Huh? Momoko! That was Momoko! My own eyes widened in shock as my right hand instinctively covered my mouth. Momoko. Her face was mostly hidden beneath her pink-colored hair, so all I could see was her open mouth, which was contorted into a silent scream, saliva dripping from her lips. Below it, I noticed something slung around her neck. It seemed like a rope. Yes, a red rope. One of its ends was stretching down from the ceiling, while the other was tied into a noose, holding her neck into a tight grasp. Her arms were lifelessly hanging down her sides, moving into a slight motion, together with the rest of her body, also swinging a slow swinging motion from left to right, like a pendulum. As I felt the strength draining from my toes, I sank back to my feet. Speechless, I turned into just another statue like everyone else. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. My mind was a complete blank. Just what in the world had happened here? Chapter 3. Isolation. Frozen in place, unable to move even an inch of their bodies, a group of 6 people was gathered in the center of the second-floor hallway, just standing there surrounded by silence. An overwhelming, unbearable silence. None of them said a word. None of them even made the faintest of sounds. They were too taken aback, too devastated to get out even a single word. But words weren't necessary. Their expression alone were saying far more than any amount of words could have. Shock, terror, disbelief, sadness, pain, despair. Their faces were distorted by a wild mix of emotions as they kept staring ahead, right through the open door into that dreadful guest room before them. Momoko. 6 pairs of widened eyes were directed at this horrible sight. How? Just how in the world could this have happened? Happy Halloween! Yo, Momo-chan. Sup? And a happy Halloween to you too. Hi, thanks. Hiro, stop it! I told you not to say such weird things in front of the others. Why not? It's the truth. It's embarrassing. Oh my. Raika-chan, I only realized now. Those ears. They look so cute. Can I touch them? You two are a fun duo. It's too bad we never talked like this before. I really regret that now. If you feel that way, we just gotta talk a shit ton right starting now. Never too late to change stuff like that. We're classmates after all. We'll get a lot more chances to talk, right? Just gotta have to use them. That would be nice. A bunch of images kept flashing past my mind's eye. Moments, entire exchanges, memories of tonight, of just a short while ago. They made it even harder to accept the cruel reality before me. When I managed to overcome the initial shock, I clenched my fists and slowly rose back to my toes. Petrified, Hiro and Kamen were standing in front of me like an immovable wall. Peeking over their shoulder, I could see her though. Momoko. I just couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. That this cute, cheerful girl who had been fooling around in our presence only a short while ago, that she was now hanging there, her lifeless body faintly moving from side to side, kept afloat in this bizarre swinging motion by a red rope pulling at her neck. There was no sign of life emanating from her. If someone would have cut that rope, or if it had suddenly ripped apart for whatever reason, her body would have slumped over, dropping like a rock, slamming onto the floor with a loud thud. Picturing this in my mind made me feel a cold shiver climbing up my spine, spreading its wings across my shoulders. Momoko. Was she really? We have to get her down. Now. Huh? Her voice violently tore us out of our trance-like state, letting the flow of time continue at its quick, unrelenting pace. What had seemed like an eternity had, in reality, only been mere moments since our arrival, and it was only now that I realized she was right. Momoko's body was still moving. It was still moving in a slight swinging motion, so it couldn't have been that long since... Maybe it's not too late. We have to get her down. Now. Yeah, you're right. You there! Without moving an inch, Hiro threw a glance over his shoulder directly at me. The shock that had been tearing at his face just a moment ago was now replaced by a surge of grave urgency. Go call an ambulance, and tell Rai what happened here. She's still downstairs in the dining hall. Get her, quick! Yes. In the meantime, I'll try to get her down. I'll help you. While Hiro and Kamen moved into the guest room in order to save Momoko, I quickly turned around to the others. What came to my attention first was Runa. She was cowering on the floor, still frozen in time. The sheer horror on her face couldn't even be described into words. Mika, you take care of Runa. Aku. Bada-chan, we'll go look for a phone and call for an ambulance. Alright. Wait a sec. What? Can't you just use your cell? No, I can't. Huh? Why not? There's no cell phone reception out here in the mountains. It's stated in the pamphlet Rai gave us, and I confirmed it myself when we went into the basement earlier. We had no choice but to find a telephone. Oh, where? Reception? Yeah, of course the reception would have one. Let's go. With that settled, there was no more time to lose. Everyone knew what they had to do. And so, with Hiro and Kamen taking care of Momoko, and Mika kneeling beside the paralyzed Runa, Bada-chan and I took off as fast as we could to fulfill our own assignment. We had to hurry. Maybe there was still a chance. As we dashed back towards the staircase, a dozen things kept rushing through my mind. Even if we had found her in time and Hiro was able to get her down there, this whole scenario wouldn't be without consequences. People who survived an attempt at hanging themselves usually suffered severe injuries. In the worst cases, even permanent brain damage. So even if Momoko was alive, there was a high chance that she... No, I didn't even want to think about that far. For now, all that mattered was to get help. That was all I had to focus on. So I jumped down the steps at an incredible speed. And within moments... Hi, there she is! When we arrived at the bottom of the staircase, Bada-chan pointed down the hallway. There, in the distance, we could see Rai, who had just left the dining hall. When she noticed Bada-chan and me, she came immediately sprinting towards us, a big question mark lighting up above her head. No, Bada-chan. Raikkonen, what the hell happened? Where did everyone run off to? And what was with those screams? What's going on here? Curses, there was no time for this. Right behind us was the reception door. So, ignoring all her questions, I quickly turned around, grabbed the handle, and threw it open. After hitting the light switch, the room lit up, and I jumped right into the center, frantically looking around. However... Where is it? Curses, where is it? I couldn't see a phone anywhere. I would have assumed it'd be sitting on the reception counter, but... What's gotten into you all of a sudden? And what do you need to call? And who do you need to call anyways? Don't tell me you want your parents to come and take you back home. Not our parents! An ambulance! An ambulance? Did someone get hurt? Momoko! She hanged herself! What? While Bata-chan tried to explain the situation, I kept desperately searching for a phone. There wasn't anything even remotely resembling one on the counter, so where was it? As I turned around to ask Rai, she... Ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Suddenly burst into loud laughter. When I looked at her face, there was not a hint of panic or urgency to be found. On the contrary, she showed a huge grin before narrowing her eyes in suspicion. Nice try, you two, but you won't get me that easily. What you talking about? You can drop the act. I won't fall for this. Huh? We ain't joking about this. Yeah. You really thought this would work? Although I gotta admit, you almost had me there for a sec. You got nice acting skills. Maybe you should consider joining the drama club. Right. This is not a joke. Now tell me, where's the accursed phone? What? What do you mean, where is it? It's right... She turned around to the counter to show me where it was, but... Huh? It's gone. What do you mean it's gone? How are we gonna call an ambulance then? Guys, this seriously isn't funny anymore. I would have expected this kind of stuff from Mika, but not from you two. Curses, no matter what we said, it looked as though she didn't want to believe us. Was she really thinking that we were trying to play a prank on her? To be quite honest, from the moment we heard those screams, I had taken into consideration that it might have been the other way around. That all this was part of Rai's Halloween program for tonight. The surprise she had been preparing for us. However, in a scenario like this, one had to assume the worst and act accordingly. I had learned that the hard way and knew all too well the consequences of misinterpreting a situation like this, of putting it off as a joke. And I certainly didn't want to commit the same mistake twice. Therefore, despite my suspicions, I had treated this seriously. But I guess now we had confirmation. Even though part of me was still hoping for this to be a morbid prank, and that she was merely pretending to be clueless, it was pretty clear now that wasn't the case. Rai wasn't this good of an actress. I could tell she was genuinely confused. Yes, she was neither acting nor lying to us. But how are we going to convince her that we weren't lying either? Rai, come on, we're serious. This is not a joke, I swear. There's no time to lose. We need to call an ambulance, quick. Would you stop that already? You're really starting to freak me out, you know. Just drop the act and tell me what you did with the phone. Curses, what did I have to do to make her believe me? Oh, it's here! I found it! Huh? I glanced over at Bata-chan, who was standing behind the counter, pointing to the floor. Rai and I leaned over the reception desk to take a look for ourselves, and... there it was. The phone. It was lying on the floor for whatever reason. The cord cut. Oh shit! What the hell, guys? If Dad finds out about this, he's gonna strangle me. Who would freaking cut the cord and throw the phone behind the counter like that? Raiko? This isn't funny. I felt something seal off my throat. I tried to swallow, but I couldn't. The cord was cleanly cut. There was no way the phone could have just fallen off the desk by accident and ended up like this, so... If there had still been any lingering doubt as to whether this was all part of Rai's Halloween program or not, they would have now been shattered into a million pieces. There's gotta be a phone somewhere else though, right? Sure, but seriously guys, tell me. The whole thing about Momoko, you just made that up, right? Do you honestly believe Raiko-chan would joke about something like this? She had nothing to respond with. Overcome with silence, she found herself in the same position I had been in a moment ago, hoping for us to tell her any second now that it was just a tasteless joke. However, by looking deep into my eyes, she seemed to realize that wasn't going to happen. Right! A phone, damn it! Yes, of course. We can use the one in Dad's office. Just follow... You can forget about the phone now. When we turned around and looked at the door leading to the corridor, we saw Mika standing there, an unusually grim expression on her face. This might have actually been the first time I had ever seen her so serious. Momoko is dead. Huh? Her words hit us in the gut, and once again we froze, turning into statues of despair. Whatever it was that clogged my throat began to grow even larger. There was no reason to doubt her words. As much as I wished for it to be another one of her attempts to scare me, another sick, twisted lie just to get the reaction out of me she had been aiming for this entire evening, even Mika wasn't the kind of person to joke about a matter such as this. No, she really was dead serious. Momoko is dead. Her words kept echoing through my head. Momoko is dead. Again and again. Momoko was... dead. I closed my eyes and tried to take a deep breath. This couldn't be happening. Momoko. That was impossible. She couldn't be. Alright, I've been talking for like an hour now. So, why don't we stop it there? This is audap. You've been watching... Get back out here. No. Shinrai, Broken Beyond Despair on Series X. Yeah, well, it's finally starting to get to the main plot. I gotta tell you, this opening is really slow and super annoying. The whole Scooby-Doo-ness of them looking around for the light switch and Bada-chan being really fucking annoying was really getting to me. So hopefully things progress nicely from now on, now that the main thrust of the plot is starting to come up. If we get any more Scooby-Doo style antics, I think I might be done. So hopefully that won't be the case. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.